the background, say what is it that is expected from you by the end of the course. So I'll share the screen and have that direct from the course outline. Okay, I've shared the screen. I don't know if you are able to see it. Yes. Yes, Aubrey.
Yes, sir.
I was saying, Lavanga, share screen. Are you able to see it?
No.
What about now?
Angolemba, would you have started? Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, fine, fine. All right. Now, just want to take you to the outcomes of the course, or what is it that you need to know at the end of the course. Our first aim, or what you'll be there to know at the end of this course, is you should be able to analyze and evaluate alternative methods of revenue generation and allocation, since we're looking at public budgeting. Got a budget ya dziko, that's what it means. Then you also need to you have to know and apply basic budgeting tools. We are going to learn what are the budgeting tools that one has to know. Later on, you should be able to demonstrate knowledge of historical revenue and development of public budgeting. Likewise, you should also have knowledge of the fundamental items and concepts associated with public budgeting. Later on, you should be able to demonstrate the ability to analyze public budget. That is to say, for example, on the 4th September, the Parliament will start meeting where they present the budget. So once the presentation is over, you should be able to interpret or to articulate the issues that have been presented in the budget. So that's all we'll be looking at. So quickly,
Okay.
yes, quickly, I'd like to start teaching, and my teaching will start right from the introduction, the concept of public budgeting and theories associated with it. So I'll take you to these slides that I've made. I hope the screen has changed now, right? What do you see on the screen?
Yeah, topic of study. We're having the introduction to concept of public budgeting and theoretical issues.
Okay, I'm saying has your screen changed?
No.
No, you still looking at the very same. Okay, let me share another one. Okay. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Okay. Now, I do believe it has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, would like to start looking at public budgeting. So now let's start looking at the definition of public budgeting, what public budgeting is all about. So let's say public budgeting, it is a financial plan that estimates the expenditures and revenues of a state for the next or the future financial year, usually 1 year. So what we are looking at is, if you look at the government here, the government here starts from 1st July and ends on 30th June the other year. So when they're trying to come up with a budget, it's just a plan to say, what is it that we want to spend our money on? And what are the sources of the money that the government would have? That's usually the definition of the budget. So it's the process. They say the process reflects on the economical, social policies of the country. That is, you look at as the country is working. This time, for example, we have like this pandemic. You talk of the coronavirus. You find that social, economically, we are all affected by this virus. So let's take, they would like to include uh, this into the budget. So they'll be looking at, say, economic wise, how this coronavirus have affected us. Likewise, socially, many antutima career, how has it impacted us? So that at least they should bring all those impact in the budget and see how they will protect people from this pandemic. So all this that has to be in the budget. So normally, when you look at the budget, it's just a plan. So the main focus is to say where are we going to spend our money and where are we going to get the money. That's why you find that budget with this budget deficit, we'll try to ask donors to help us on the deficit. Ndeudi amagapempha ndalama mwaigwena ndiye na kuti athandizire budget imene ilipoyo. We go to the next slide. So now let's look at difference between the public and private budgeting. And as we have said, I've said earlier on, say when we look at public budgeting, we look at the state budgeting or the budget of the country. Now they're saying, oh, the purpose of the public budgeting is more comprehensive that aims to provide services to citizens. However, the private aims to focus on the financial center of a company. So in this case, we would look at a company versus a country. So we are looking at, say, when you look at the public budgeting, remember the government is there to provide services to its citizens. You talk of education, health, defense, agriculture, all those services, the government is there to provide to its people. So it look at the welfare of everyone in the country. Whereas look at the private budget, at the budget just concerning with a particular entity or company. That's the main difference. So business, I mean companies budgeting, it's just a small budgeting. That's only concerned with the company. Whereas the public budgeting, it encompasses the whole country. Even you talk of these private entities too, their budgeting is also encompasses in the public budgeting. Then also look at difference number two. On the difference number two, they're saying the economical and social effect caused by the public budgeting are bigger than private budgeting. As I've just said from the first difference to say, when you are doing a state budget, is for the whole nation or country, whereas this the company or the private budgeting is only for a particular company. It will be budgeting for PRU or other companies. So if you look at the social effect, definitely the public one is bigger as compared to the private. So they're saying the public budgeting affects more at different levels in the country. We'll go to the next slide. The third difference is they're saying the controlling or regulatory agencies that monitor on executing public budget are various. For example, we have the regulatory agencies inside and outside the organization. Okay, what it means here is this. Look at once the government has come up with a budget and that budget has been executed or is under execution, there is need to monitor how the budget is being executed. Is it as per the presentation? What are the shortfalls? Are we heading towards the goal that the budget has been made up? So always there will be people who will be there to monitor to see if there are any deviations or not. So the monitoring comes in so as to help the smooth and fair implementation of the budget. Then the fourth one is the stages of public budgeting preparation is longer and more complex than private budgeting. What it means here is, for example, this time around, if at all you are following the current affairs, you might have heard that the Minister of Information, I mean the Minister of Finance, is trying to gather some information from people. Say what is it that it has to be included in the budget. So you find that it's like this public budgeting, it concerns almost everyone. So various actors are approached to say how should be this budgeting be like, so that we should need the budget should actually tackle issues, main issues that are affecting the country, the citizens of the country. That's why we're saying public budgeting is complex as compared to private one. We go to the next. Then we look at public revenues. And on public revenues, we are looking at sources, different sources through which the government would wish to have what? The government rather have its own resources in terms of money. How does it get the money? So the first one is we are looking at service fee and charges. That is to say, if you look at the government also does business. You talk of Aristotle's, you can go to ESCOM, you go to Water Board, various government organizations. They do provide services. Oh yeah, that's gone. Ah, yeah. What? Hello.
So,
Okay, you are following, right?
mm,
Okay, fine, fine, great. Let's keep on. Okay, so we are saying these parastotles, they do provide services to the public, and but the public pays for having, and the public pays for having those services. Then the next source of revenue is through taxes. You see, we pay tax in various ways. There is
mm,
direct and indirect taxes. For example, if you look at direct taxes such as, let's take payee, every employee pay tax to the government through what they make at their workplaces. Likewise, indirect taxes, for example, talk of VAT, VAT. Everyone do pay VAT. So the government rely much on the taxes that it collects from its citizens. These taxes they help the government to provide services back to the citizen. We talk of health services, transport services, defense, and others. Then again, we have public debt. That's the government borrows money from investors so that government will obligate to pay the money back with interest to the investors or institutions. You find that if at all the economy is sharp, you find that uh, there will be so many businesses, there will be so investors doing business in the country. Should the government feel need of revenue, the government would approach such business people and have some money so that it can execute its services. So by that, the government will go and borrow money from institutions. Is borrowing money from the public sector. Later on, it will pay back plus interest. Then we have external loans. There's a country borrow money from other countries. You may find that Malawi borrows money from countries like USA and others so that it could facilitate its development activities to its people. Then we also have other countries' properties and assets. That is, the government might have properties that belong to other countries so that the initiate economic activities later on they make some money so that they can provide services to its people. Go to the next slide. We look at, just hold on. No, give me like 10 minutes. Yeah, you may switch it off
okay.
at quarter past 12. Yeah, okay. Let's continue, Mr. Obre. Okay, now we look at, whoa. This stuff. Yes, bro. Di ba ulan siya? Okay. Okay. All right. So if you look at no, we have in the class. There's no one. Thank you.